Hello everyone, Canon Lowy here, this time with some more World of Warplanes. And this is the last part of the Crimson Dawn event, or at least as far as I am aware, and this is the Stage 4 event that, different game mode that they have been putting out as kind of a rollback type of thing. And this time it is called Attrition, which I have actually seen on some somewhat old World of Warplanes videos of people playing this game mode, and to be completely honest, it's different than Conquest, but it's not that much different. And I think that this game mode is a little bit better than Invasion, I think it was. Yeah, I would say it's better than an Invasion, but it isn't so much better than Conquest. So I'm going to play the Key 162.3. Before we get into it, some passing mentions is that in this game mode, you focus a lot more on actually killing aircraft rather than capturing zones, I would say anyway. So if you are trying to specialize anything that requires kills, this will probably be a better game mode for you than Conquest if you catch it before it ends. So with that, I'm going to play the Key here, and I'm probably only going to play 1 or 2 battles with it on this game mode. I played the EF-131 just to see what the game mode was, just like I've done with the other game modes pretty much for this event, just to kind of give me an idea of what it actually is. And this game mode is actually pretty good for bombers as well, because, well, and ground attackers, actually. Big Bad Wolf is not in a bomber this time, interesting. But 3 specialized ground attackers, that is very interesting. So how this game mode works is that you capture zones, and one of the zones has a lot of anti-air sights, so that's what that is. So you have all of these zones, and as you can see at the top, you have 80, and then a times 1. So every time you capture a zone, you will get +1 to that modifier, I do believe. And every time you kill an aircraft, depending on what your multiplier is, that is how much goes down from the enemy's counter. And they definitely have a lot of aircraft here. Just letting that Focke-Wulf 252 get past me, because I knew that he was probably going to go after me. Of course, we have bat wings, like usual. I would like to get rid of them, but yeah, Big Bad Wolf is really going after me, that's for sure. He's been probably calling aircraft on me this entire time. And I'm kind of surprised that he's still not able to outmaneuver me, even though that I had my tail damaged here. Key 162.1. So this game mode is basically Conquest, except you focus more on killing stuff. Like, you capture zones, but then you kill stuff basically outside of zones. Like, you don't, like, whenever you get air kills, you don't need to be in a zone anymore in order for it to actually count for something. I just barely got that one. I'm trying to heal here. There we go. Getting some wrench. So yeah, I'm actually somewhat more focused on actually not going after other zones. Like if I was in Conquest here, I wouldn't probably be camping the middle here. I would be trying to get that one garrison in the upper left-hand corner of the map. Or maybe even the anti-aircraft gun site if there's any air defense aircraft there. I forget if there is. And I chose this aircraft specifically because if you are in an aircraft that has high maneuverability when this game mode calls for air kills, it is actually a good idea to do so. Like, I mean, obviously you could play as something like a heavy or something. But something with maneuverability, I would think, would have a great deal of advantage, just not probably as much as the other game modes in that this event has offered. When I was reading about this game mode called Attrition, of course, on the portal or web page, I don't know, why is it called a portal anyway? But anyway, when I read Attrition game mode, I was like, oh, well, it's gonna be like the old school 15 versus 15, right? Except with obviously bots on each side because there isn't that many players, but I mean, like, basically the old school 15 versus 15 with the supremacy mechanic. And I was kind of interested in how well that would even play out, if it was actually going to be good or if it's in modern day World of Warplanes, or is it just gonna flop? And then I was greeted with this, and I was kind of disappointed because I was really intrigued to try a 15 versus 15 with the refinements that this game has made for itself. Get this F2H off of Buddy's tail. There we go. And we actually have all the zones, so we're easily picking away at their counters. So yeah, since we have ×5, every time we kill an aircraft, it minuses 5 off of their counters, so... Or minus... Okay, I guess they lowered it down to 4, but... I mean, 10 air kills isn't incredible, but it's not bad either. And since this is actually really early in the morning, I'm kind of surprised there is this many people playing this game right now. I mean, granted, these people probably live in different time zones than me, but where I live, it's 4 in the morning while I'm recording this, so if people are online at 4 in the morning where they live, I guess they're really interested in playing World of Warplanes. But, wow. So yeah, definitely if you pick a fighter that is a lot more versatile, like the 1101 would be a good choice. Well, basically all the altitude fighters would be decent, or anything like the Key 162-3 that has a good bit of both maneuverability and airspeed, and the LA-15 would be good as well. Like basically anything that can dogfight. And I was thinking about showing off the F7U, but to be completely honest, I don't think that would be as good of an idea for this. Well, first of all, let me see how many aircraft I actually killed here. 8 aircraft that were from the combat flight. So yeah, definitely better for getting air kills for specialization, I think. But it's not that much better. It's not like the other 2 game modes where you fought only enemy players that counted. And another thing I wanted to mention was that the last session, I guess, or mode that they were doing for this event was just normal conquest. It didn't have anything different to it, so I didn't feel like I needed to record that at all. Actually, let me play the MiG-15 BIS. Speed build MiG-15 BIS, specifically. I mean, granted, the maneuverability on my MiG-15 is pretty terrible, but it's not as bad as a heavy, so should be worth showing off. So overall, this game mode, I don't know, well, it's different enough to be kind of fresh, especially since I didn't play this game mode back when it was introduced before. But it's not really... It's not that much different from Conquest. But I think this game mode is good if you are fighting a lot of, like you saw there, specialized ground attackers or bombers, where capturing sectors isn't as important. Well, it's important, but not super important. It's more important that you get air kills with at least 2 sectors. So as long as you can keep 2 out of the 5 zones, and then you just kill faster than the enemy, then you should be able to win with that. And since bombers and ground attackers aren't really known for getting air kills for the most part, that could give you an advantage against specialized planes. So I guess if you're tired of seeing specialized EF-131s and being somewhat useless against them, well, this might be the game mode for you. Otherwise, it's just different. So let's see how many players we have to fight this time. Just 1, actually. Interesting. Yeah, it's just him. I wonder why there was just so many players in the last match. That was kind of crazy. When I played my EF-131 to see what this game mode was, there was only 1 other player as well in that match. So that is kind of interesting. So yeah, like I said, this is a speed build MiG-15, so it is really focused on countering heavies. And if I was a dedicated World of Warplanes YouTuber, I would definitely want to show off different builds that I've come up with that aren't really... that I wouldn't really recommend. Like, they can work, but they take a lot more skill to work, I would say. I would want to show off stuff like this. Like, I have that... my Javelin is a full maneuverability build one, and then this is a full speed build one. So there is that. I don't really want to fight bombers right now. So I don't have it specialized, so it's not really... it's fast, but not as fast as I want it to be. So yeah, this setup is supposed to be going after guys like this. And there we go. And he's a little bit too high. So basically going after targets that have low energy. So we're going to try to capture this zone and then focus a little bit more on actually defeating aircraft. So definitely if I was specialized, and then this guy was a human player and just kept going, I would be able to keep up with him fairly easily. But these bots, they don't typically do that. And I think I'm actually going to go after these because they're only TU-12s instead of JU-287s. Yeah, these guns, especially the 37mm, just overheats way too quickly on this. Okay, now he's finally going in a straight line. Okay. Yeah, and they're probably going to capture the zone because I just can't really kill that IL-40. IL-40P actually, so as you can see, this guy pretty much went full tank build, most likely. So he has a large chunk of HP. And this thing can burst out some decent damage, but it's just... If I was specialized, I would definitely do the reinforced bolt carriers. And I kind of feel like they're necessary on this thing. And I think they're gonna capture the zone, yeah. Oh, we somehow have 3 zones, though. That is kind of interesting, actually. Because I thought they would have taken this one, and it looks like we're going to capture the anti-aircraft site. Oh, and Focke-Wulf 252s are basically lunch for a speed build. MiG-15, I would say. Well, even a maneuverability one. Easy kill there. Now let's get this one. Pretty easily able to keep up with these guys. There we go. Prioritize this bomber, because I'm not going to be able to do anything against the combat flight, I don't think. So they're going to get that zone. But yeah, like I said, because I'm focusing more on killing aircraft now, we are quite a bit ahead, so the fact that they got another zone doesn't really mean much. As long as we have 2 zones, we can quite easily, I would say, of course he gets the wing, Got his pilot. That's not what I was hoping for. I'm just gonna speed away from him then. I can go fast, but well, if he was a player, he would be able to go as fast as me. So this thing is kind of like a mini heavy if you go full speed build, but you don't really have the firepower of a heavy, unfortunately, so it's just kind of... It's not really a build that I would recommend. It's just kind of if you just want to go fast, ultimately. The Swift can easily do this, so... And you can also do a maneuverability build on a Swift, and my Swift specializes even faster than this, so it's just... On paper, there's really no reason to actually do this. But we did capture that zone. Oh, he's actually going after aircraft. That is interesting. Well, I mean, not that he has really much else to do, I suppose. I think I said in one of my videos for these game modes that the IL-40P, it would actually be really good against aircraft if it wasn't for like this wonky thing where I think it's because the guns are on the bottom of the hull that it just feels like the guns just never want to hit air targets unless they're big enough where that disparity doesn't matter anymore. Okay, got him. Hello, Mr. 252 once again. My guns just didn't overheat instantly. Okay, this is actually getting really close. Let's go after that 262. So one thing to note is that, as you can see here for this game mode, there is no such thing as squall line, so... Well, you don't have unlimited respawns. You can respawn until your number runs out, essentially. Super Mario once again, and as you can see here, he has over 3,000 hit points for a ground attacker. So now we're actually having some problems with the counter, because we're just leaving these bombers and the ground attackers to kind of do their own thing, and that's really not what you should do. But in a MiG-15 you aren't really suited to killing bombers, so... Let's go down. And they are going to take the zone, I do believe, so we're going to have to capture something once again in order to get any points, and Well, there you go. So I think I was a bit overconfident there. With the capture zones, I really did not focus at all trying to kill any of the bombers or ground attackers, or really try to capture any new zones, and that is what made all the difference. And you get 100 gold. Woo! Flying high mission. Okay. Destroy 50 aerial targets to get 150,000 credits. 100 section of ground targets? I did not actually know about these. Okay then. I did know about this one. So I guess if you somehow if you watch this before this event ends, you have less than probably 12 hours when I actually publish this, to do a few missions for a few extra credits. I don't know if I'm actually going to do anything for that. It just seems like all the games want to have some kind of December event that, or something that needs to be done before the end of the year. 25 air kills though. So let's see how many of those. 19 were from the combat flight. So yeah, if you want air kills for the specialization mission, this might be the way to go. Otherwise, it's just kind of... it's too similar to Conquest, I would say. I mean, the other two game modes had a lot more going for it, but at the same time for this one, I think ultimately, now that I think about it, heavy fighters are going to have the best time in this event, because then you can deal with high hit point targets fairly easily, or in a very maneuverable plane that can camp a airbase or something. And those are the best planes for this event. I was thinking about playing the I-215, but I decided to make 15 bis since I had already played this on one of my previous videos showcasing these game modes. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, 19 air kills towards specialization. I might play this game mode a little bit more if I have the time, or if I want to spend my time in this. But overall, it's just too similar to Conquest, and while it is refreshing to see a new quote-unquote new game mode that I haven't really done anything with, I don't know. Just kind of... it's alright, but it's not incredible. So... and overall, this event has been kind of nice for nostalgia purposes. If you've played these game modes before, I only played the Bomber Escort one, I think, when that was the main game mode when it was first introduced, back when the premium bombers, the RB-17, was added to the game, and also the bomber tech lines. But overall, I would say Invasion and Bomber Escort are a little bit more interesting than this Attrition game mode, purely because though you don't have to deal with fighting air defense aircraft, I guess is kind of the biggest change. But also, you aren't just focusing on capturing zones and getting capture points. You are focusing on something else entirely, for the most part. And you're either defending the bombers or attacking them. And I just find that a little bit more intriguing, but at the same time, when I played it, because there was so many specialized planes, I didn't really find myself enjoying it because of that, not because of the game mode itself. But I will say though, for like the bombers, if you play a bomber, and in the bomber escort one or the attrition game mode, it does seem that the heavy fighters are a lot more aggressive in those for whatever reason, and they, well, also there's more heavy fighters. I think that's probably the biggest difference. But when I'm playing my EF-131 in either of those two first game modes, I had a few times where I'm spending minutes trying to defend myself against these heavies, and you have like 5 of them come at you at the same time, and it's just like, yeah, no, there's just nothing you can do about that. So yeah, I think this event was definitely good, especially when they came out with this update saying, hey, we're finally updating the game again, type of thing. And I look forward to more additions to the game, especially since at this point I pretty much have everything that I want in terms of lines that I grinded out. So, I mean, I'm even close to specializing at least a good majority of the ones that I have. So, yeah, I guess one thing I kind of want to leave this video off here is that I know that I talk about specialization as being kind of the thing that takes away from my enjoyment of the game the most. And then you see me specializing all these tier 10s and whatnot, and all that. Like, isn't that a bit hypocritical? And I would say, to an extent, yes. But I'm also the type of player that I would rather fight only bots and not any players. So, in the sense of, I can play in my overpowered plane, so to speak, but then only fight bots if the option arised, so I wouldn't ruin anyone's enjoyment of the game. The other thing too is that certain planes, especially ones that rely on speed, pretty much require you to specialize them in order for them to feel halfway decent, like, or at the very least take full advantage of their characteristics. For an example, the F7U, this thing unspecialized, in my opinion, is kinda trash. I mean, you can do well with it, yes, but it's supposed to be a multi-role that has the same speed as a heavy fighter, or at least sort of, and take advantage of the 745 mile an hour dive speed. Well, the problem is, until you specialize it, this thing has crap for speed. And then it doesn't even have that great of maneuverability. I mean, you can go fast in a straight line, but it doesn't accelerate to that very well. And the FJ1 is pretty much the same thing. I was very unimpressed by the characteristics of this plane. Even fully upgraded, while it sounds on paper to be somewhat fast and have better guns, it just does not accelerate to the point where I can use what this plane has to offer very effectively. But at the same time, especially when it comes to planes that don't really have super high maneuverability, and you can go from a 10.8 second turn time to all the way down to a 9.6 second turn time, and if I calibrated everything, probably 9.3. Like, that's a little bit crazy. Like, for the airspeed, I think specialization is fine, but when it comes to maneuverability, especially, like, being able to take an unmaneuverable plane and make it maneuverable to the extent that you're basically a whole different class than what your class is, that is kind of where it really becomes game-breaking. And then also, since I have the knowledge and experience of most of the plane's maneuverability characteristics specifically, as well as altitude performance, when you're dealing with a specialized plane, you don't actually know if they went full maneuverability or if they went airspeed or something. So it kind of throws my knowledge out the window, so to speak. It makes my experience kind of, well, I can do well. It makes it so that my knowledge kind of is thrown out the window because you don't actually know. It makes it so it's so unknown. And my biggest thing that I'll show here is my javelin. I really love my javelin setup because I somehow took a 15.5 second turn time all the way down to 13.1, which is the same as the F7U. Or, well, if I wasn't doing a speed build, it would be the same as the F7U. So essentially, because of specialization, I'm able to take a heavy fighter, keeping its heavy fighter characteristics and making it like a multi-role in maneuverability. So, I don't know. I mean, I know this is kind of rambly and potentially really unimportant, but I just felt like I kind of wanted to throw that in there somewhere, especially since I don't even know if whenever I'm going to do another World of Warplanes video, because unless they do another event like this that has something brand new, I'm probably not going to. Because as much as I like this game, I'm not a World of Warplanes YouTuber. I kind of do my own stuff, and these events, I like to showcase these events and kind of have them recorded and kind of put in a time capsule, so to speak, in order for people to view them later and see, oh, well, this was a thing in this game. So, yeah, and also the javelin, until I got it specialized, this thing was not really a heavy fighter in terms of speed. It was just so slow for a heavy. So yeah, this is another thing of the javelin. Well, I guess if I had uprated engine, it probably would have been a lot better, but but yeah, it's definitely, I just wanted to throw that in there if anyone really care to hear my ramblings about this, but I wanted to put that out there. So specialization, in a nutshell, increasing your speed, unless you're a naturally like slow plane like the Yak 30 or the J7W3, if you go a speed build with that thing for some reason, making faster planes like 10% faster doesn't really break the game in my opinion, but taking an unmaneuverable plane and making it maneuverable in order to basically cover up its weakness of being unmaneuverable, as well as keeping its other characteristics that are tailored to a different class, such as the heavies with their altitude performance as well as their speed, and then making that maneuverable, well, then that is where the game breaking occurs. And also, when you are not specialized and you're fighting specialized planes, it really makes you feel like, or at least for me anyway, that I may not be able to make as much of a difference in the game as if it was actually balanced. So hopefully anyone who cares understands what I'm saying. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this series of showing off all of the game modes for World of Warplanes, as well as the various different Tier 10s planes that I have. And if by rambling this video made sense, that may or may not have been the same length as the rest of the video. The rest of the video without that. So thank you very much for watching and have a wonderful day.